KKBox, which is, well, the app KKBox is Taiwan's leading music streaming platform. But the KKBox group, which which encompasses all our businesses, including KKTV, which is an OTT video streaming platform, KK Stream, KK Lab, those are B2B businesses. Um, we're constantly committed to innovating um, new platforms, new tools for media and content in general. I started a fund and a music accelerator 4 years ago called KK Farm, and today it's Taiwan's largest indie music label network. It's an ecosystem of about like 30 labels, and we distribute a good amount of progressive new independent music. I also together with my partner started another company here in KK called Our Song, which is a music community. Well, it began as a research into finding a new format for music. So we wanted to figure out how to bring back the unit price of music, because having done streaming, we've seen how the unit price of a song has gone to near zero. And so we spent about the last, I think, 3 years researching, in the beginning using blockchain technology, to figure out how we could create essentially digital albums that had limited issue, that could be traded, that at the same time had social features, that you could pack content that you could kind of collect. So basically, what would be a vinyl to someone born in 2005? Today, that has expanded into like a private chat communities for creators and influencers to issue digital tokens, digital cards like these. I'll show it to you. Like these, like say Julia at her concert, she issued one of these cards. There are limited amounts of these cards. These cards have content that's packed into the back of it. You can, so it's all like backstage footage. And then it allows you to also join a private community with her other fans in here in chat. So it's kind of like, imagine if a vinyl could update itself and also had a social network. It's a little like this ride thing I talked to you about in 2004. It's a little like that, yeah. Okay, so I think it comes down to like what you're saying, favorite, right? Favorite subjective. So, and I think what you were mentioning earlier is, everything gets lost in a pile of junk. That's going to happen, and as more information moves onto the cloud, um, yes, there's gazillions of units of content online, and it's virtually impossible to find anything, right? Unless you search for it. So I think, yes, a multimedia value pack, but I think the value comes from the ability to personalize your own experience. Okay, so let's start with the reason why audiences today um, are are just moving by content so quickly. I think there was a study by Microsoft that a couple of years ago that the average attention span that a person has probably just gone down by half in the last like 10 years, right? And and the reason why is it's just because we're so used to swiping, you know what I mean? So you just move past things very quickly. And I think the more content that you have to swipe, the less time you're going to spend on a single frame, right? So that's one of the biggest reasons why, like, our attention span is dropping. Well, I don't know if it's widening or shrinking. Well, yeah, I think it's shrinking. Our attention span is just getting less and less per unit of content. And also, I think another thing is also we're so fragmented, like content so fragmented. Like if you think about it, like at least when I was young growing up, buying an album was more than just listening to the file. There was the album sleeve, right? And then if you really liked an album, you would buy the repack, which had more content. And then if you really liked it enough, you would go to a bookstore and buy the book. Today, you can actually do that. You see someone on YouTube, you like it, you Wikipedia what it is, and you keep Googling, and then you say bookmarks. You'll probably end up discovering it, but it's less personal. I think because of the tangibility, like the lack of the tangibility of you're not able to touch it. It's just you're seeing everything through a tablet or a computer screen, right? Whereas before there would be like album sleeves, books, magazines, and you treasure that you keep them like on a bookshelf or something. So I think I think finding how to bring back those experiences in 2020 context is very important because obviously we're not going to be able to sell albums and thick sleeves. I mean, you know, young kids tell me they don't even know where to put an album these days. Like last week, I was talking to a 19-year-old and I gave him a vinyl. And his first question reply to me was, "What am I supposed to do? Go out and buy a machine to play this? What kind of machine plays this?" That's how they think, and I don't blame them. For someone who's born in 2003, yeah, I absolutely don't blame you. But how do we create that experience of discovery, uh, or how do you induce the fascination of discovery? I think is a responsibility that digital platforms have to to content. I think someone who is growing up today as a child can because because of Google and because of YouTube, you can have someone growing up in 2020 to 2030s who only listens to like 1940s music. That's totally possible. That is absolutely possible because we live in a very non-linear dimension now, right? So it's absolutely possible, and I'm starting to see a lot of that. So I actually am a bit more optimistic. I see a lot of young Generation Z, like they're different from the millennials. Like I know a lot of really young kids who are born after 2000 that absolutely love early 90s music. Like they listen to only early 90s music. So, you know, and you know, there's a good amount of really young people who know music from certain eras way before their time and then they're discovering it. I think I think a lot of music documentaries on Netflix is helping that too. Right. I think, you know, like what was that the one on Quincy Jones is helping a lot of these young kids discover content. So I don't think hope is lost, but I think a lot of people are spending time on frivolous content, but at the same time, frivolous content is just very easy to digest. I'm still a musician that does not know music theory after 30 years. I still play by ear. Um, I think I've always been more fascinated with innovating culture, whether it's working in technology today or working in a record company. I think for me, it was always how do you innovate culture beyond what it is right now? So I feel like I'm still doing the same thing. Uh, I think at the end of the day, business. I've always held to the belief that if you are a musician as a hobbyist, you're free to do that. But if you're in the music business, then I pray that you are somewhat business minded because otherwise it's not called the music business for any for nothing, right? I I mean I think we understood it. I think you've always understood it. I mean, if you look back at what it is now, 15 years ago, yeah, I mean, you have a much clearer picture. But I think you've always been quite clear. I mean, while music was the constant, I mean, if the people I've met through you and of all the things we've done, I think music was just the common language, but what we were essentially doing was experimenting with ideas, whether it was like a remix. We've always been, or at least, the relationship I've had with you in the last 20 years has always been exchanging ideas back and forth until whether or not you agree with it or whether or not I agree with it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, there would be like, I remember like, I remember experimenting with tablas on anything, be it a David Bowie remix or a random song, or was it Brian McKnight? I, I may not have necessarily agreed that tablas was the way to go, but I would do it. I'd be like, okay, Hans is a crazy idea. Let's go try it out. And 90% of the time it worked out. I mean, there was a couple that sounded a little weird, but I mean, I think we've always been experimenting with ideas, and I think people should always continue. So, what is that? Is that a musician's job to keep throwing out ideas, to keep experimenting with ideas? I don't think it's only a musician's job. I think it's like an innovator's job. An innovator's job is to incubate ideas and constantly test them, whether you fail or succeed. So I don't think that's exclusive to music, right? So maybe to answer your question earlier, maybe it's innovator first, and then musician probably third. But I remember you giving me this advice at a very early age. Like, if you're gonna stay as a gigging, like if you're gonna be a gigging musician, you're more than likely gonna be one your whole life. That's why I was very careful of, like, I mean, there's nothing wrong, and I think there are some people who absolutely are passionate and find fulfillment playing gigs every night, and they're totally entitled to that. But I think it was different. I think, like, for me, and you as my mentor, it was more about like I wanted to have a career in this, wherever the industry would go. Like 20 years ago, new media was becoming a thing. Today, new media, it's basically just the standard platform, right? You know what I mean? So, but wherever it was going, I wanted to have a career in this. And it was very clear to me that, like, music business is music and business. So don't get too romantic about the music. I mean, but definitely you have to like know the music, because if not, then it's just business, which is like 90% of record executives that don't actually know the music. But but I feel like I worked on that pretty hard. I mean, like, like you were an executive that knew music very well. So for my age and my generation, I made it a point to know music very rich, but at the same time, never forget that it's a business. I met Julie on the internet, right? She found me off the internet when she was at Berkeley. Where is she now? She just played two packed out con- nights in a row last weekend, like like in Taipei, like two sold out shows. Um, like I just looked about an hour ago. She's number two on our new song chart on KK Block. So um, Julia's okay. Where is she now? She's probably somewhere out there. Because I don't know. I didn't notice. I've been in meetings for the last 6 hours, but then I did go to the bathroom and she was doing an interview. So I think she's she's definitely come a long way from doing YouTube covers in Berkeley. But it was a journey too. You know what I mean? It wasn't a like the traditional journey in like my generation or your generation. It was one that where she met me in her first year of college and found me online, and she was thinking of quitting Berkeley, where she had a scholarship, to come to Taiwan to try to start a music career. And I was like, how about you stay in school and graduate, but while you're in school, let's start building your profile online. And we just had this, you know, internet music collaboration relationship, which eventually led to like a real working partnership.
I got things, make you wine.
I figured collaboration has always been very important, just because from a young age, that was everything that we did. I mean, I could have been 20 and just stuck in the studio, which I did. Remember, like for that 18 months I was doing the Marking Lot Pimp album. That wasn't much collaboration. It was just me in Stung in Singapore and not coming out of the studio for like a year. I'm doing like 7 masters. Like as a VC in content companies, 80% of the decks I get is East West accelerator, East West collaboration platform. I need XXX amount of money. So everybody wants to do it. So I don't feel that has changed. I mean, in fact, it's probably become more accessible because of the internet. In fact, it's everybody's business model today. Like every deck I see is an East West collaboration platform, to the point where I almost have to filter off the East West word. I almost feel like East West is probably a concept that's fading out soon. There shouldn't be an East West. So first of all, like if you ask a 15-year-old where they listen to music, I'm almost certain 2 out of 3 times it's going to be YouTube, right? And I often hear this in Chinese is, they're like, people don't listen to music anymore, they watch music. So kids are like watching YouTube to listen to music. So you're actually listening with your eyes. So I think the visual element, a visual component to music is absolutely key. Um, I think TikTok and this rising trend of TikTok. You know what TikTok is to me? When I was young, like in the 90s, like I would stand in front of the mirror and lip sync. That's what TikTok is. It's literally the equivalent of you lip syncing with your comb or your toothbrush in front of the mirror in 1989. But just that you can record it and share it with all of your friends. And it's great. So I think TikTok is just the beginning of short form, bite size music, video music content. If you're talking about film, I think I'm seeing more and more people shoot, like, say, a 90-minute movie and split it up into like 15-minute episodes. So these short form drama series, um, I think this all comes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's just people's attention span. It's just because I don't have time to watch a 3-hour movie unless it's a Scorsese film. So give me something quick, get to the point. It's like, like a song, right? Like you better get to the chorus like in 10 seconds. Like 2-bar intro, chorus. I'm in a very comfortable place in my life. I spend a lot of time doing a lot of research into emerging technologies. Just, I'm at a place, I think I'm at a point in my life where I'm not competing with anyone, including myself. I think so. like lost the ego, not competing with anybody else anymore. Just really just appreciating like the last 20 years of experience and using that. The next 20 years is really just like I just want to learn. Like I want to be alive. I want to be relevant enough to still be around to watch how 2035 is going to look like. Look at, I mean, you've been in this business before I even came into this business, and you're still here interviewing me. In fact, you're still at the same table at the Grand Cafe. So like, you're still around. You're not going anywhere, and I think I want to be that. So I'm finally at this point in my life where when people ask me how old I am, I just say I'm almost 50. Like I'm comfortable. I'm not competing. I don't have to be the center of attention. I don't have to be. People don't even need to know who I am.